Oh, yeah. We have Jonathan Stark tonight. That's awesome. Hello! Welcome, everybody, to another jam-packed edition of The End of the Night. I am David Lee Madison, your host. This gentleman right here is my lovely co-host and producer, Mr. Joe Ridgely. Mr. Ridgely, say hello to everybody this evening.
Hello, everybody. Excited to be here on another Sunday night on The End of the Night.
On The End of the Night. Joe, how is your world? What's going on in it? Anything exciting? Anything you want to talk about? Anything tremendous going on at the Indie Escape?
There are a couple of things going on. Thank you for asking. We actually just got our, IMDb page with everybody on it and all the guests included, which is kind of exciting. We just got an LLC. We're going to start moving forward with some things, which can be pretty crazy. And the last thing is kind of exciting. We have a new Indie Escape family member. We have Scotty from Stage Diving with Scotty, who's going to be starting the show probably next week or the week after. He is from the band The Spacing Effect over in California, but he has a nice little online show where he interviews independent musicians.
That is awesome. So do you know what night you guys are going to be on with that program yet?
We do not. We're probably looking at Tuesday or Thursday.
Okay, sweet. Well, I know that a lot of the times on the show, I like to show some of collectibles and cool stuff that I get. And this isn't going to be in your bag, Joe, but a lot of people are going to think this is cool because not only this is a collectible I had since I was a small child, and I got it from a family member, and there's a really cool story about it. But there are people out there who collect antique baseball cards. And this one is one of the holy grails of all antique baseball cards. But what makes this one especially cool, because there's only one like it in the entire world, and I'll show you why. It is a 1967 Mickey Mantle card. Now, what makes this particular 1967 Mickey Mantle card special is that if you look closely, across the front is an original hand-signed autograph of Mickey Mantle across the front that he signed in the summer of 1968. And on the back is not only one, but the start of a second autograph of Mickey Mantle on the back. Now, what makes this card so incredibly cool is that a family member of mine brought this card to Yankee Stadium and waited at the press gate where the players came out to meet their icon, their legend, Mick. If you grew up in New York in the 50s and 60s, Mickey Mantle was literally like God. He was the biggest thing. And the Mick came out, and when my family member got up to Mickey, back then, when baseball players signed, they would just take pens from the kids or the people who were waiting for autographs. It's not like today where they hold Sharpies with them. But when my dad got up to him and it was his turn to get an autograph, Mickey sadly had a red pen, if that's what the autograph's in red on the front of the card. And when the Mick handed my dad back the card, he was so bummed by the fact that he got his autograph signed in red. So he went back in the back of the line, and as Mick was trying to slowly walk to his car, all the kids and people were getting his autograph. He went to the Mick a second time and handed him the card, but backwards, and said, "Can you sign the back? Because baseball cards on the front are glossy, and that's why sometimes the autographs get, when it's done in pen, get kind of smudgy. So the Mick signed it again for him on the back, not knowing that he already signed the front. So then the Mick walked to his car after about a half hour of signing autographs for kids. And my dad, the snake he was like, I want to meet my icon again. And he handed Mick the card for a third time. And as Mick started to sign it, which is why it's only the M of Mickey Mantle, he said, I already signed this for your son, and made my dad's life absolutely, because he actually spoke to him. So that's what makes this particular Mickey Mantle card extremely rare, because not only is it an original 1967 Topps Mickey Mantle card in pretty damn good shape, but it's signed by Mickey Mantle 2 1/4 times. I mean, how does that happen? So I think that's a pretty cool story.
That is a cool story. You want to hit some of these comments?
Absolutely. Good evening, Mr. Meaney. CJ, hello, my friend. How goes it, Brandon? I hope you're well. Good evening, Ken. I hope you're well.
And CJ saying the card is awesome. And thank you for everybody from the Indie Escape showing up.
That's absolutely, the Indie Escape is a great group of people. I hope everybody is kind of relaxing tonight and enjoying their Sunday evening. The world's kind of in a crazy place right now, but we'll get through it, and we always do. I wanted to bring Mr. Schiaffo on early because I know Mr. Schiaffo wants to say something. So without further ado, our co-host, our dear friend, actor extraordinaire, writer extraordinaire, musician extraordinaire, Mr. Scott Schiaffo. Grunkle Scott, how are you?
Okay. Thank you for that very nice intro.
No,
hey,
absolutely.
Gary. Yeah, I'll quickly just get to it because it was still a little bit shocking. I only found out an hour or two ago. Filmmaker, New York icon, indie filmmaker Nick Zed passed away today. Nick was what they called him, like the grandfather of transgressive, the cinema of transgression, which was a movement in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, punk era, New York City. Nick was one of the boldest filmmakers I had ever known. I didn't get to work with him, but I interviewed him for the Aquarian Weekly, which anybody who knows the New Jersey East Coast area back in the 80s and 90s, the Aquarian Weekly was a weekly paper that was a music and arts paper that was fairly relevant and had a pretty big circulation at the time. So I got to do a piece for that paper. This was after Clerks came out because it was kind of like, indie actor guy talking to other indie artists. But it's just sad to have found out he passed. He had health issues, and he was not that much older than I am. He's only in his early 60s. So bummer note, folks, check him out. His book is not easy to find, but it's worth a read. It's called Totem of the Depraved. It's about his exploits in the 70s and 80s. And Nick was around when punk rock was really big in New York City. He was friends with all those people. He was just an amazing character, and really bold, like extremely bold.
And what was this from?
That was actually taken by my friend, writer, director, Tom Zanka. We had taken some pictures on the days we had connected for the interview. I was interviewing him about his book. And over a course of a couple of days, we got pretty tight. We had a lot of similar background in music and whatnot. I had a lot of respect for Nick, but that's just a candid shot of he and I walking around the Lower East Side.
Wow.
Quite a long time ago, but just a shame he's gone. So, folks, indie film people, check him out. Do a little homework on him, and you'll learn about him. Some of his films are available. Scott Meaney's aware of him. Super edgy, very edgy. But the stuff he would get in trouble for 40 years ago, he had a short called Police State, which was about police brutality, which is literally could be just as pertinent today. That's 40 years ago. But he tried to show this at film festivals overseas, and they would confiscate the cans, and they would put him in jail. That's how crazy he was. He was like the Lenny Bruce of independent filmmaking.
Sweet. I'm sorry that...
It's a shame he's gone, and prayers to his family. I know he left he's got children and a wife in New Mexico for the last 10 years. He had settled down.
Do we know what happened to him?
I know it was complications from hepatitis and cirrhosis. Mm-hmm. Nick hung around a crazy crowd for a lot of years, and sure, he partook, but Nick was not known to be one to really abuse. So I don't know if later on in life he continued, and maybe that's a cause of drinking. I have no idea. They're not hiding it either. He was hospitalized, and his liver, I guess, eventually failed him. But sad. He's not that old.
I'm sorry to hear that, and to his family and friends, we send our deepest condolences. And I'm sorry, Scott, that you lost somebody that made an impact on you. May he rest in peace. I see also that Ken, who's a great part of this show, lost his uncle today. So Ken, our deepest condolences to you. We're sorry that happened. Let's take a complete turnaround and bring some joy to the world and make this a happier place right now. I want to tell you guys about a place. As you both know, my daughter goes to school in Massachusetts, and I spend a lot of time in the car going to and from Massachusetts to get my daughter. And I found this place in Wilbraham, Massachusetts, called Rice's Fresh Farm. Now, this is not a paid endorsement or anything. This is like just because something is so unbelievably awesome, people should check it out. I know we have tons of people who watch our show in Massachusetts. This is in Wilbraham, Massachusetts. Rice's Fruit Farm. I think they just call it Rice Fruit Farm. And when I tell you, they do this thing that are muffin tops. It's not like a full muffin, but they're just the tops of muffins. It sounds like a Seinfeld joke. We should have our friend John O'Hurley on to discuss this. They're the top of muffins, but they make banana chocolate chip. They make blueberry, they make chocolate chip, they make cheesecake, they make the greatest apple cider donuts ever. It's one of the coolest places. So if you're around Wilbraham, Massachusetts, check out Rice Fruit Farm. Go and try their muffin tops. I gave a banana chocolate chip one to the heart of rock and roll himself, and now he's like, get me another one. They're that awesome. So I want to say to my friends at Rice's Fruit Farm, I'll see you tomorrow morning. And have a banana chocolate chip muffin ready for me because you guys absolutely rock. And I just wanted to share, baked goodness with my friends. Scott, next time you're over the house, I will make sure that I bring you some kind of goodie from this place. They're phenomenal.
Better next day air that crap here.
If I could, I would. If anybody from Rice's is, reach out to our producer, Joe Ridgely. If you could send him something. He's a great guy, and it's like unbelievable, Joe. I know you're a Long Island guy, so you probably miss really good baked stuff down in Florida because I know you can't get a good slice of pizza. You can't get a knish and the baked goods in Florida. So I know exactly where you're coming from on that one.
Is that because it won't the baking? It won't rise?
I think it's because of the water, actually.
Water, yes. Yeah. We actually have some pizza parlors that they get the water from New York. And
they import the water from New York.
They import
that's
it.
really.
I don't know why I couldn't think of the word import. Good Lord. But yes, they import the water.
All right, I've been keeping our guests way too long in the green room. As everybody who watches this show, and I think we're almost 3 seasons now, right? We've had. Just a quick thing. Yeah. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the end of the last show.
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, wow, we've been around for a long time and done, I think 3,000 episodes now. With that being said, anybody who watches this show knows what an enormous fan of Fright Night I am. What an enormous fan of the next our guest tonight I am. In fact, I named my character from Mr. Hush Legacy after Jonathan Stark, who is not only a wonderful writer, a director, an actor, and just a great stand-up guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Stark.
Now I just want donuts. I mean, I'm just thinking about donuts now.
If you're ever in Massachusetts, John, do you like Jonathan or do you like John?
John's fine. Doesn't matter either one.
If you're ever around Springfield, I don't know if you ever go to Springfield to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame, or if you're doing a convention up there, stop at Rice's Farm and try their apple cider donuts or their muffin tops.
Oh, I know Massachusetts well. We used to have a house in the Cape, and my daughter went to school at Endicott, and my other daughter went to school at I don't know, but South. But I do have two things I want to say. I had a Mickey Mantle rookie card, and I had forgotten all about it. And I looked through. My mother had all this crap in her basement. I found the box. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be rich!" And I opened it up. I take out the Mickey Mantle, and I had cut the eyes out.
Oh,
it was totally useless.
Oh my God!
You know what's funny? There are Mickey Mantle, 51 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookie cards, and there's a 52 tops. The 51 Mickey Mantle rookie Bowmans that have actually been in bicycle spokes, like we did when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The card looks like road pizza, and they're still upwards of 30 or 40 grand in that shape. So I hope you didn't throw your eyeless Mickey Mantle.
I think I got rid of it. Yeah. Somebody told me it wasn't worth anything. And I have one other thing. Somebody made this for me. You know, you get stuff from fans at conventions and stuff, but some guy made this for me. I want you to look at it.
Oh, nice!
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that the best?
Awesome?
I know. There's only one. I said to the guy, "Why don't you make more of them?" I don't know. I can't remember who he was, but he should make more of them.
He probably made that with a 3D printer because it's really, really articulate.
Probably, I guess. Yeah.
So welcome to the end of the night. This is a crazy show. We have.
Thank you. Nice to see you, David. Nice to see you, Scott and Joe Ridgely, LLC. I love it.
Joe's the mover and shaker. Me and Scott are just the old hacks who trying to who hold on to the coattails of Joe, who's building an empire.
There you
go.
John,
I'm gonna start you off with a really super easy question. You're a young man growing up. I assume you have a passion for the arts or acting. What actor or filmmaker did you grasp onto that gave you this passion for the arts?
You know, you're going to laugh, but the movie that made me think I want to be in Hollywood, I don't know if it could be actor, director, or what, was Mary Poppins. I watched Mary Poppins and I was totally transfixed because it was magic. You know, it was magic. And I remember thinking, I love that magic. There's also one called The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. It was a Cinerama film. Mm-hmm. And that one too, it was like magic. And I said, I kind of want to do that magic thing. I like it. I didn't think I ever would. You know, it wasn't like I was one of those people that was driven to do it. I did summer theater at my local junior high school, and I was getting a degree in teaching at a college in Erie. And I was thinking, I don't really want to do this, but my mother's like, well, you got to have something. You got to have a degree, do something. So I kind of got involved in the theater department there, and I made a lot of friends. And one of my best friends there was a guy named Michael Patrick King, who's a writer and producer. He did Sex and the City and The Comeback and Two Broke Girls, and we were best friends and roommates, and but he was in the theater department. I met all these great people in the theater department, and after I graduated, I was kind of hanging out going, I guess I'm going to be a teacher. And a friend of mine said, hey, they're doing 1776 up at the college. You want to come? Somebody dropped out. You want to do it? I said, yeah, I'm not doing anything. Once I went out on stage again, I said, this is really what I want to do. So I think I have to pat myself on the back and say I was brave enough to follow my passion, which is not easy for a lot of people. I know it's hard.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I'm an enormous fan of 1776. Who did you play?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It wasn't a lead. It definitely wasn't a lead, but it was. Bill Daniels.
William Daniels played John Adams.
He lives right down the street from me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he's married to Bonnie Bartlett.
But they always have garage sales. And so yeah, they live right down the street.
This is a strange question because I'm almost like a little bit of a Fright Night historian, and I promise you I will get through.
You know more than I do, I'm sure.
Your entire illustrious career, I promise you I will. But as a Fright Night geek, this is a strange question you've probably never been asked.
Okay.
Ever since the pandemic, where I live in Northeast Pennsylvania, on the Hallmark Channel of all places, they play the Waltons from midnight till 6 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I lay in bed like a mental patient, being a guy who grew up in the early 70s watching these Walton episodes again and again and again. I have no idea why. I should probably get a life. But I watched the Waltons, and I noticed, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but in several episodes of the Waltons, they used the exterior of Jerry Dandridge's house.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that was the Disney backlot, and they used there was a whole little little street back there. In fact, right next to the Billy Ragsdale's character's house was a church when we got there. And they said, well, we got to change it. Can't be a church because nobody would move in there. Certainly no vampire would move in there. So they changed it to a schoolhouse. But if you went right around the corner from that, there was the set from Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Oh, right.
That kind of square they had. That was just right around the corner from the house. And, that's all gone now, unfortunately.
If you watch the beginning of Something Wicked This Way Comes, they run past that white thing that looks kind of like a church in Fright Night, and they run right past Jerry Dandridge's house. But what's so cool about that is that in that particular episode of the Waltons, John Boy and one of the other brothers are supposed to be selling this scary house, and John Boy goes, "Let's get out of here. It feels like a vampire lives here." And I just thought it was incredibly ironic that that's what they said.
I never really watched that show, but that would be interesting show to watch. To see
it's clearly that house. Tell me a little bit of what it was like to work with Tom Holland.
Tom is, well, first of all, I was not Chris, I was not Roddy, so I was not commiserating with Tom so much. I was like, my first job, I was like, thank you. And also thinking I sucked. So after every scene, I would talk to the amazing script supervisor, Mavis Gerard. And I would go, Mavis, is it okay? She goes, it was wonderful. It was absolutely perfect. And I'd be like, oh, is she just saying that? So, but anyway, I digress. Tom was so great because when I went into audition, I think it was one of the first, Tom, you had drinks with Tom on your birthday? That's pretty cool. Okay. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes, I went into the audition. It was first or second day of the audition, and it was like my agent's like, "You got to be big. You got to be a big guy." And I was pretty big. I'm 6'4", but I put on like 2 sweatshirts, a couple of shirts, put socks in my shoes to make myself taller. And I walk in there and it's like 100 out. So I'm sitting there just sweating, and I'm mopping them. Finally, I go in, and I don't remember if Tom was in there or not. I really can't remember. But Jackie Birch, who was an amazing person, came to see me at a show, a little tiny stage in Hollywood, and then she came to see me, and that's what she called me in for. But I did this. I came up with the stuff of going like this, and that's the scene I auditioned with. And I came up with all that stuff, the funny stuff. It wasn't funny originally. It was just kind of, but my thinking was, well, let's see. If I was trying to throw somebody off the scent, I wouldn't be sinister. I'd be funny, because you want to make Charlie look like an idiot.
Right.
Well, that was my whole approach. And Tom apparently loved it. And I waited for, I guess it was like 2 months before I heard anything. And I would call, Scott, this, you call, you figure, well, if I don't hear anything in a couple of weeks, I didn't get it. So I kept calling it. And Jackie would go, no, you're his favorite. And I think, okay, fine, whatever. Probably never going to hear. And then they called me and said, I got it. It was my first movie I ever did. So.
Oh, that's fabulous. No call back. Just, you got it on the first
I
read.
got it on the first one. They never called me back.
And that's a wonderful story because it illustrates something that I've talked to a million times with actor friends of mine, which is when you go in, you got to make a decision. You went with funny. If it was the wrong decision, a director would say, lose the funny, I want this.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see if they can direct you by giving you that piece of direction.
Right.
Some people who go in and try to play it too safe and bring nothing but an intelligent reading, that was a place I got to at one point very early on because I was so afraid to do something that might have been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great story. What a wonderful story.
Well, you have to do what makes you, what entertains you, because the chances that you're going to get it are like 1 to 0%. So you might as well just walk out of the room thinking, yeah, I did what I wanted,
Yeah, that's a great attitude. Sure.
Now, when you saw Fright Night for the first time, did you say to yourself, wow, we made something special here? Or you're just like, it's a cool vampire flick?
Well, interestingly enough, they did a screening at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Mm-hmm. And I was still thinking, this was, 6 months, 8 months later. And I said, man, if I suck, I'm going to have to walk up that aisle afterwards. And it's going to be the walk of shame for sure. So I blew town. I went back east. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I went to New York to hang out with my friends there. And it was playing and it got pretty good reviews. My friends said, let's go see it. I said, yeah, I don't know. And they said, no, we're going to 42nd Street. Now, 42nd Street at the time was not the place it is now. It was all porno place.
Yeah.
And the audiences there were wild. They were wild. So we went in to see it. And whenever, especially when I stood up or when I sat up, and people were screaming like, "Oh my God, Billy Cole, he's going to get you! He's going to get!" I mean, screaming. I thought, I am so happy this is the first time I saw it, because people in Hollywood, they're very reserved and man, it was very good. This was what Fright Night was made for.
Yes,
an audience that was really digging it.
That's right.
I was born on August 2nd, 1970. So on August 2nd, 1985 is when Fright Night came out. My brother Bob took me to the Angelica in New York City to see Fright Night for my 15th birthday. And the crowd was absolutely batshit crazy about it. And it was the movie that inspired me to do all the crap that I do. So
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was just a wonderful, wonderful film, wonderful experience. And I could sit here and chew your ear off about Fright Night for the entire night, but that wouldn't be fair to you.
Well, it's up to you. It's your show. You can ask whatever you want.
No,
I don't care.
His IMDb, Jonathan, your IMDb is just like bonkers, man. Like we could spend hours. It's unbelievable. Oh,
I've been really lucky. I've been extremely lucky, especially for a guy going to LA going, yeah, I'll give this acting thing a shot.
Well, I see that you're a writer too. And it's funny because you mentioned that Mary Poppins was an amazing influence on you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but the star, one of the featured stars of one of the shows that you both produce and wrote, Bruce Campbell.
Oh, I love Bruce.
Bruce was an enormous. You probably know this. One of his favorite films was Mary Poppins, and he likened his whole career to Bob Hope of all people.
Wow.
So. Tell us a little bit of what it was like to produce The Ellen Show and to write The Ellen Show, which was quite a historic show in and of its own right, with all the topics that it touched on and how important it was to pop culture and society. Joe, what were you thinking?
Well, that leads into Brandon's question. Jonathan, you produced a lot of TV from Ellen to According to Jim. Do you enjoy producing as much as acting? But please answer David's question first.
Okay, we'll answer David's question first. Ellen was a show that was sometimes in the top 10. It was not ever, it was hardly ever number one. I don't know if it ever was number one. And it was a great show to work on. I really enjoyed working on it. Ellen is brilliant and one of the funniest people ever. So, it's great when you write lines and the person can just nail it. Like on Cheers, Kelsey Grammer nailed every line perfectly. So, but Ellen it was just a regular sitcom. The only time it really was different was when she decided to come out. And we had all gone over to her house, which we did every year at the beginning of the season, for just kind of like a little get together and stuff. And I would always sit out on the patio because I was like, I don't like hanging out with a group of people. I'll see those writers plenty. So I thought I'd hang out with them. All of a sudden, nobody's on the patio. And I'm like, where'd everybody go? And then my writing partner, Tracy, comes out and says, Ellen's going to come out. I'm like, great. I missed that. Wonderful. But, then that whole season, once that happened, we were kind of dropping hints and building toward it. So it became really interesting. And then the writing of it was, I came up with the name of the puppy episode. And do you know the reason it's called that? Do you guys know that? Okay. Michael Eisner really, the boyfriend thing wasn't working with Ellen. So Michael Eisner said, well, let's do something with her. Let's get her a puppy. And we were like, well, how's that going to really make the show better? So I just, because we couldn't figure out what to call the episode. So let's just call it the puppy episode. So that kind of stuck. And, but it was an amazing time. I really, a lot of times I think I wish, in fact, I probably could do it, write a film about that time, because it was amazing. And the threats we got, we had to have bomb dogs sniffing the stage because we got bomb threats. We had Jerry Falwell saying Tracy and I and Mark Driscoll and Dava Savell were going to go to hell. And I thought, I'll see you there, Jerry. But it was, and then I can still remember that moment when she said it on stage. It was, we just all I just felt tears coming down. But the one thing that always was important to me is that people go, well, you wrote an episode, a great episode about coming out. I said, no, I didn't write about coming out. That because I'm not gay. So I'm not going to try and think, what is that about? But you have to find, when you're a writer, what's the commonality here? What are everybody in this country that's going to watch it? What's the commonality? Okay. The commonality is somebody that's tired of lying to themselves and is saying, this is who I am, fuck it, and fuck you. This is who I am. And we've all been there. So that's, to me, what the show was really about. Absolutely was about her coming out. And I think that's an amazing thing she did. But to me, it was about that.
Wow.
Yeah, a biopic of that episode would be super awesome and timely, especially since she's going off the air this year.
Mm-hmm.
I bet she would love that, and her fans would love that. That would be a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And you know what? As I recall on that show, you guys made Bruce Campbell like the heavy. He was the jerk about the whole scenario, as I recall.
He was, yeah. Bruce. Bruce. I think Bruce, first of all, is brilliant. I've seen everything Bruce has done, but when he was on the show, it was hard. It was just hard to find how he really fit into the whole thing.
Right.
And I think that was hard for him. It was hard for the writers and everything. Not that he wasn't. He was. I thought he was brilliant, and he was. But it was just like sometimes you cast somebody, you go, we just can't figure out how to put it together. And I think that was the problem. And but I watched all Bruce's stuff, and I just think he's brilliant.
Yeah, and it was weird because at the time he had such an enormous pop culture following, and you have him on Ellen being the jerk. It was just like, it just didn't feel right. Now
I'm looking forward to seeing Black Friday, though. Do you know Black Friday?
I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't either, but I'm kind of, if he's in it, it's probably not going to be too bad.
Oh, that's the new Bruce Campbell movie. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, the zombie thing.
Now, please, if I'm mistaken, I'm doing this all on memory. Was William Ragsdale also on Ellen?
He was. He played one of Ellen's boyfriends. I think he was the pizza guy, and he probably was there 3 or 4 times. And we had a nice, and Ari Gross was also part of the cast at one time, and I knew Ari from House 2.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you pull some strings for William to get that role?
I did not. I was not in that position to pull any strings. I was kind of lower on the totem pole at the time, but it was great to see him, and he was wonderful. He was if anybody could have played Ellen's boyfriend, Billy could have done it. He was that good. Oh, I want to just answer Brandon's question too. Producing and acting, that's a really good question. I kind of like both. I would, if somebody said, hey, you want to be a producer on the show? I'd go, yeah. And they said, well, you want to be a producer on this show? I'd go, yeah. So I don't know. It's like, I like doing it all. I just like being around it all, you know? I don't know if I have a favorite, and I like writing too. So, you know.
Well, films and anything artistic that have a lot of people attached to it are kind of like a giant party. And who doesn't want to be invited to a giant party is the way I kind of look at it.
Well, some days it's a giant party. Some days it's a giant pain in the fucking ass. But other times, you know, people go, oh my God, you have the best job in the world. I go, no, you know what? What's your job like? You like it some days, right? And other days you wish you'd never had it. And that's what I feel like sometimes. It's
those days where you work for 14 hours and you get 2 setups done is the days that you want to go on a mad
hours for a minute of finished film.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Right, exactly. Or you get an actor complaining, you go, "Wait, please stop. You know, you got a great job. Stop."
I mean, I was directing a film, and I walked in on one of the lead actresses, and she was. I mean, this is literally 2 hours before we were going to actually shoot the scene, and she's crying hysterically. So I think, you know, she got a phone call. Her mom got hit by a tractor trailer. Her dad got eaten by a dinosaur. Something horrible has happened because she's like really bawling her eyes out. And I go up to her. I go, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" And she totally stops mid hysterics and says, "Oh, I'm just getting ready for my performance." And I was just like,
"Oh my God!" And
well,
you know, I always felt if that's what you need to do to give a great performance, fine by me. Don't do it around me, but do it. Come prepared. If your preparation is just, you know, sense memory or thinking about something you need, or just getting up there, like I loved Anthony Hopkins was like, I don't know, I just go up and do it, you know, and he's amazing. So
now we seem to have an awesome amount of feedback coming in. People are asking about House 2. So what could you share about working on House 2?
Well, let me tell you this. For those of you who are listening about the House 2 thing, I think I said this. I don't know. Did I say it to you before? I don't know. But I'm going to be at the Horror Realm show this weekend with Bill Ragsdale, Amanda Burse, and Stephen Jeffries. Chris will not be there. But Kane Hodder, who worked as a stuntman on the show, who is just the nicest guy ever, and Lar Park Lincoln, who played Ari's girlfriend, and are going to be there also. And I haven't seen Lar since we did the thing. So that should be a fun reunion for us too. So if there are any House 2 people who want to come down, I do have pictures, and I'm sure Lar does too. What was the question you asked me now?
No, it was just to any. But before I ask you the question again, I want to make a comment about Horror Realm, which is right outside of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I was blessed to do the show twice, and I will tell you, Jonathan, you are in for a great time. The fans out there are fantastic. The people who run the show are fantastic. The hotel is beautiful. It's nothing but a class show, inside and out. So be prepared to have a really good time, because Horror Realm are one of the groups of people who know how to do it right.
Well, these are Pennsylvania people. These are my people.
Yes, you won't be too far away from your hometown. You could go up and visit beautiful Erie, Pennsylvania.
We will discuss how they mispronounce skill.
You know what scares me? When I went there to do this, I've done several conventions in the Pittsburgh area. When you order mozzarella sticks, they don't use what's the regular where everybody else
marinara.
No, it's not marinara. They use a different cheese.
Oh, they don't use mozzarella?
What? Yeah, no. They use
that's a scandal.
They make their cheese sticks out of provolone in that area.
Wow, thank you for that. I'm never ordering cheese sticks there.
No, there are plenty of fine restaurants, so I think there's a place.
I think that's even sacrilegious.
Right across the street from the Hollywood Theater in Dormont, so make sure you check it out. It's an Italian place. You'll love Horror Realm, trust me.
So
the question was, did you have any comments on House 2? Yes,
I had the most fun with Ari. We had a great time together, and I think I've seen the thing, and honestly, I kind of like my performance in House 2 a little more than I do Fright Night. It's totally different, but I felt it's more like me. Fright Night, I'm not that horrible, evil guy. Well, almost never. But this woman came up to me one time at one of the things. She goes, her husband and kid are with her. And she goes, I want to marry Billy Cole. I'm like, oh. She goes, no, I really do. And I said, okay, your husband and son are there. I'm not really that guy. You might want to marry that guy, but I don't think you really want to marry that guy. So anyway, but it was a lot of fun to make. I remember having a blast, and I watch it. It still makes me laugh. It's certainly not one of those high art films or anything, but it's kind of funny. It's a little scary. Kids can watch it. And I got to be goofy and funny, and I think that's kind of more who I am, really.
That's awesome. Now, this must have been just an amazing job to get. You were a writer on one of Bob Newhart's shows.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like working with Bob Newhart?
Bob, well, first of all, Bob's one of my comedy heroes. I mean, Jack Benny and Bob Newhart are my two. Those are the guys because they don't even try to be funny. They just act. They just do it. And they're just, I just laugh. I'm in hysterics when I watch them. And I'm not a big fan of stand-ups too much. I like a few stand-ups, but I always feel like you're trying to get the joke out of you, and you just go, no, just say it, man. Just say it and let us laugh. But he would come on, they have an audience warm-up person usually before each show because it was a live show. And he would come on and be the warm-up person. He'd do 20 minutes of stand-up. And this is the guy I listened to. I had all his records. I had, and I just was a huge fan. And to listen to Bob do stand-up, and for this audience, and I was standing 20 feet from him every single Friday night that we did it, I was like, oh, I really am in heaven. And he was a great guy too. And if he had any notes, some actors just note you to death. He would have 3 notes, but he'd have the fix for them. Mm-hmm. So,
I think his series finale for his second show, where he woke up in bed next to, or somebody help me with what her
Suzanne Plesset. Yeah.
Where his entire series, where he was the innkeeper, turned out to be a dream, was absolutely probably the funniest series finale of all time.
It was brilliant.
It was absolutely brilliant. What was it like working with Jim Belushi on According to Jim?
Well, Jim's he's a good guy. I saw him we were kind of noodling with this idea of doing a family show because Disney wanted us to do a family show. We didn't know what to do. And I started watching this movie called Return to Me with Minnie Driver and David Duchovny, where she gets David Duchovny's ex-wife's heart after the wife dies. And so they, of course, meet and get attracted to each other. But there's a whole kind of other few scenes in there where Jim and Bonnie Hunt play her sister and brother-in-law with the kids. And if you ever watch it, you'll go, oh my God, I can see exactly where he got According to Jim from. If you ever watch that, just to watch the scenes with Jim and Bonnie Hunt, which are hysterical.
Sweet. Now, this is a show I'm not familiar with, Bucket and Skinner's Epic Adventures.
Yeah. That was a Nickelodeon show. I think I did that. I kind of took a year off, and then a friend of mine said, hey, you want to? And I said, yeah, I've never done a kid show. Why not? So I went and did it. And the kid, I don't even think you can find it anymore. It only ran one season, but the kids were great, and they were all young. And the wonderful thing is, I'd never had this before, but I'd walk on stage and they'd all come up and hug me. And some of them really didn't have much acting experience. So he'd come up to me and go, well, what do you think about this? And I thought, well, this is so cool that I get to actually kind of help them with their, with their lines and how to approach stuff. I loved it. Wow. I wasn't that good at writing kid stuff because kid stuff is a lot more kind of out there and it's kind of right in your face. Not to say that it's not, I think those kind of writers are incredible. They're so smart and so quick, but it was one of those things I thought, I think that was good for my kids show experience.
That's sweet. It's just a cool, like I could imagine working on a kid show would be pretty awesome. CJ Robles has a question. He wants to know, what did you think of the Fright Night remake?
First, I want to know, what does CJ stand for?
Do you know, Joe?
Oh, he's not gonna. You can tell me, CJ. I thought there were some great things in it. I did not like the Jerry Dandridge character, the Roddy McDowall character.
David Tennant, yeah.
David Tennant. He's a wonderful actor. It's not that. It was just, to me personally, it was wrong. Because what was great about Roddy was he was scared, he was timid, he was a loser, he was, and then he changed at the end.
He finds his redemption. He finds his strength into,
Yeah, I mean that moment where he goes. There's that moment that Tom wrote, which is brilliant, where he turns. He's gonna run, and Charlie says that monologue to him, and he just turns and he goes, yeah, and that to me is what really is great of movies. It's probably not real. Most of us don't like change like that, but who cares? You're watching a movie. Like I said, Mary Poppins, it's magic. No, that's never going to happen. Carlos Joel, pronounced Joel. Okay, Joel. Joel.
Nice.
Joel.
He sounds
Carlos
like
Joel.
Superman's dad or something.
Yeah.
I don't usually like to slam movies on the show, but I did Fright Night, the remake. I had no stuff. Even the Fright Night 2 remake was just ghastly.
I did actually. I will tell you that I called up Billy Ragsdale. He was living here in LA at the time, and I said, Billy, come on, we're going to go see the remake, and we'll go have lunch, then we'll go see a remake. So we go have lunch, and then we go to the place, and it had been playing about 2 weeks, and as we're walking in, they're taking down the lobby card, and we go in there, and there's nobody in the theater, so we're sitting in there howling. And of course, when Chris came on, it was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. But I really liked the end when all the people came out of the dirt and everything. I certainly didn't miss the Billy Cole character at all.
They screwed up Evil Ed royally.
Oh yeah,
I actually got to see both Fright Night 2, the Tommy Lee Wallace film, and the Fright Night remake with Stephen Jeffries, Evil Ed from the original Fright Night.
Yeah.
And after the end of Fright Night 2, he just went, huh. Which in Stephen Jeffries' world means that was a steaming piece of crap. And the Fright Night remake, he was also not a big fan. I love that Dave says about Fright Night.
Oh, that's good. That makes sense. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that, CJ. I'm going to say that from now on. Good vampire movie, but it's not.
That's how. It's exactly how I felt about that movie. It was a solid B popcorn vampire movie, but had no right being called a fright.
But Tom's written one new book called Fright Night Aftermath, and I got to read it. I don't know if he sent it to be printed yet, but it's really good, and it takes place immediately after the first one, like within minutes after the first one.
Oh, sweet! Is that going to be? I heard word that might be a graphic novel, or is he just going to put it?
It could be.
Another...
I haven't seen him for a while, but he did. He sent it to me, and then he said, "I'm writing the third one called Fright Night 3: Billy's Bones." So I'm thinking, well, I wonder what that's about. Okay.
That sounds awesome. Anything Fright Night, I am all up for it. I wanted to ask you one question because this show is geared to a lot of independent filmmakers, a lot of independent artists. Tons of them watch the show. As somebody who's so established in the film industry, if you were to give them, an independent filmmaker, one piece of advice on trying to get their project done or trying to move forward with a filmmaking career, what would you tell them?
Well, I'd say, first of all, write something that you love. Don't try and write something that you think everybody else is going to love, because they don't know what they're going to love. So and if you write something you love and that hopefully you have some experience with or something, it's going to be original. But you got to pound the pavement. You got to find an agent. You got to make calls. You can't be you can't be worried about irritating people. You got to do it. I mean, obviously you're not going to call people over and over and over until they scream at you, but you gotta make your own breaks. You can't wait for people to do it. And I have a lot of friends I see in Pennsylvania stuff. They go, hey, I'd love to be a writer. And I go, oh, okay. You want to move to LA? Well, no, don't really want to move to LA. So we want to do it from Erie? Well, and then they yeah, but I think I can write. I said, the writing's not really the hard part. It's the blank page that's the hard part, because you got to fill up that page, and then you got another page, and then you got another page, and you just keep coming. So it's a lot of hard work. It's not glorious. You see Steven Spielberg and everything, and you go, oh my God, that guy's got it great. Well, I don't know anything about his career or his life, but I'm sure he worked his ass off to get there. You know, so don't expect anybody to give you handouts. You make your own breaks.
Like the great Bruce Campbell once told me, work your doughy little ass off. I'm not sure what that meant, but it sounded like it meant something important.
Well, Bruce Campbell said it. I'm all for it.
Gabe sent in a picture. He said that he had drinks with Tom on his birthday.
Oh my God.
There he is.
That's so cool. When was this at a fan thing, Gabe? I'll say I want to know. I'm wondering where he did this, because Tom's not usually the kind of guy that's going to go hang out with people. I have a hard enough time to get him to just go have coffee with me. So,
well, Gabe's part of the Indie Escape Network.
And there you go.
There you go.
In Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, Texas Frightmare was a show.
Yeah, that was my first one I went to, was Frightmare.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So sadly, we are running out of time. I wonder, can you tell us, do you have anything that you have cooking now? Any appearances? Anything that you want to promote?
The thing at Horror Realm, which is really the first thing I've done since the whole pandemic started. The first one Chris told me, he said, I'm not doing anything for a while. I think he's doing a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas ones. Mm-hmm. So he's not with us in Pittsburgh, but he stopped for a long time too. So it's nice to be back, and I love meeting the fans. I mean, when they come up and they start telling me all this stuff about Fright, and I go, "Oh, hold on, you know more about this than I do. Tell me about it. Tell me what you think, because I don't know any. I mean, all I know is my lines and what I see on screen. I don't break it down." Oh yeah, okay. Kenneth, make sure and come by and tell me that you saw it at this show. We'll talk.
Kenneth's a great guy. He has his own show. He's a great guy. It's not a part of the Indie Escape, but he's a great guy. He's an artist, and you'll like him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, but come by if you're at the Horror Realm. Come by and talk. I always love talking to everybody. I don't have any problem with that. So. And fans of the show will really appreciate this. When you're at Horror Realm, make sure you go up to the lovely Tiffany Shepis. I got to write that down, because Tiffany Shepis. Okay.
Yeah, she's a guest at that show.
Okay.
Go up to the lovely Tiffany Shepis and ask her if her broom is out of the shop yet, or if she will be able to fly by the moon that night.
Okay.
Or ask her if she brought the big Dave head.
Okay, I got to write all this down. Okay.
Yeah, the big Dave head, yes.
All right.
All kidding aside, we love you, Tiffany. Have a great time at Horror Realm. And be nice to Jonathan, because he's a wonderful guy. She's quite a lovely lady. I don't know, maybe she's not. With that being said, Jonathan, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
It was my pleasure.
It was an absolute complete honor. Just to tell you how much I geeked out over this. I named Stephen Jeffries' character in my film Mr. Hush Stark after you.
I appreciate that.
And in Mr. Hush Legacy, which is the prequel that takes place in the Devil's Den in the Battle of Gettysburg, I play a soldier named Jonathan Stark in your honor. So
I heard Steven Spielberg was going to name his main Hispanic character in Jonathan Stark, but I guess it just wouldn't fly.
Well, I certainly, it's an absolute complete honor to meet you, sir. You're the only person, I have a Fright Night poster. You're the only person who I don't have a signature of. So I'm going to drive to Horror Realm on Sunday and have you sign my Fright Night poster.
Are you really going to?
I'm going to make every effort to. Because
if you can, that'd be great to talk to you. So
it'll be absolutely my pleasure. Everybody in the Pittsburgh area or in Altoona or, that whole central Pennsylvania area, make sure you rush out to Horror Realm next weekend. The Fright Night cast will be there. Stephen Jeffries, Amanda Burse, Jonathan Stark will be there. William Ragsdale, Kane Hodder, Tiffany Shepis, bleh, and a bunch of other wonderful people are going to be out there at Horror Realm in Pittsburgh. Jonathan, it's been a complete honor to make your acquaintance and to have you on our show. If you ever have anything you wish to promote, please, you are now a family member of the Indie Escape and David Lee Madison's End of the Night. And maybe someday I'll be honored to actually work with you. That would be wonderful.
Wouldn't that be fun?
It would absolutely be fun. If you want to work with me, a hack, or somebody talented like Scott, either one of us would be wonderful. Well, with that being said, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
David, Scott, Joe, nice to meet you all.
Nice to
It
meet
was
you.
absolutely our pleasure. Have a fun time at Horror Realm, and hopefully we'll talk to you again on the show someday.
Absolutely.
Ladies
Great.
and gentlemen, Jonathan Stark.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sir.
Night.
What an amazing guest.
Oh,
Holy cow.
I love that. That was just wonderful. I've been blessed to talk at length with, of course, Steven. He stayed over my house when he ran at the marathon in New York, which oddly enough, Stephen Jeffries finished in the top 500 of people in his age group in the New York Marathon and beat New York Ranger legend Mark Messier as far as time. Think about that for a minute. That's pretty wild. And I met Bill Ragsdale and Amanda and Chris and Tom Holland. I just never got a chance to meet Mr. Stark, and that was absolutely wonderful.
Cat, is Ragsdale the same? Is that Herman's Head?
Yeah, Herman's Head. Williams Ragsdale starred in Herman's Head, and he was on Ellen, and he, of course, was in Fright Night 1 and 2. So that was just absolutely wonderful and an honor. I geek out every now and then because people are who are involved in the stuff I adore just are awesome to me.
So, Mr. Madison,
Yeah.
I saw another teaser on the internet this week. Can you say anything?
Oh, Full Moon Fever will be out in the third quarter of 2022. And that's all I could say right now. There's so many werewolf features going on right now, and there are some people that I honestly really, really like and support their work. And I'm doing my best not to have compete with friends and have things out at. So I'm trying to keep a low profile on Full Moon Fever. One of my most respected friends in the industry, somebody who actually wanted me to work for their company as an acquisitions guy, wants the movie, and it's going to have a relatively big release, and I'm excited about it, but I don't want to steal the thunder of other films and other werewolf projects that are out there right now, because right now I would just be blowing smoke for a fire that's not going to be out for a little bit longer. So yes, it's a really, really, really scary, atmospheric, funny. Scott Schiaffo's performance. It was very funny because I met with Scott before we started shooting, and we had this wonderful conversation about fleshing out Scott's character. And after Scott and I talked and we started to roll, it was amazing how having this conversation with Scott about what I really wanted his character to, what I wanted to pull out of him, the amazing ability. And this is what I was talking with Tammy and Roebuck and Daniel Roebuck recently about what a wonderful actor Scott is. I really think something is going to move there soon, Scott, so be ready for that. I was telling Tammy and Scott and Daniel what an amazing actor Scott was, because I sat down with Scott and we had a conversation as Dave and Scott beforehand about what I wanted his performance to be like. He plays a loving old Dr. Lawrence Talbot, which is of course the werewolf from the original Unchained movie. He's and after just talking to Scott, I think maybe we talked about 10 or 15 minutes about what I was looking for. And then when we started to roll, he brought to life this character. And it was just awe-inspiring, because it was really not something that's generally in Scott's, I don't want to say wheelhouse, because he's a great actor, everything's in his wheelhouse, but it's kind of not like a character that we've seen Scott perform in the past. And when he, how earnest he was, and how unbelievably charming and sincere he was in his words and in his performance, it just blew me away. And then and that's also what Marianne Hagen, who plays my wife in the movie, Kara Strode from Halloween, the Halloween series, and every frame of this movie just drips with like a foreboding atmosphere and werewolf dread, and just I'm really super proud of it, and I can't wait for it to come out. But I don't really want to put out stuff like all over the place until we're a lot closer to our release date, which is still several months away.
Fair enough.
Do you have anything you would like to share about when we shot that scene, Scott?
Well, your accolades are really appreciated, but I will say that being comfortable with you and being able to really go to a vulnerable place, that makes all the difference in the world. And that's what happened that day.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and it was always a great time working with you guys. With that being said, gentlemen, is there anything else we need to touch on before we bid our family and friends a fond adieu? Scott?
I'm pretty golden, unless did I forget something? No. Did I? No.
No, and everybody who's tuning in, please make sure to subscribe and like to David
Right.
B. Madison's The End of the Night. Is my mic on? Yeah, I guess it is. And also the Indie Escape on YouTube and Facebook.
Absolutely. With that being said, everybody, I just want to touch on this. The world some shitty things are going on in the world right now, and everybody just keep your chin up, keep your spirits up. Better days are ahead for all of us. With that being said, there's no better time for me to pass this message on to you. No man is a failure who has friends. We'll see you next week, everybody.